Hello everybody, welcome back here to the ESL One Cologne offline qualifiers in Katowice. My name is Mitch Leslie, and if you've just joined us, you've missed a solid days full of excellent games, but this one will prove to be no different. A bit of an EU derby, if I'm honest. These two teams have slugged it out against each other online multiple times in the last month or so as well, almost as if they're linked by fate. And yes, by fate, they were drawn to play each other in the first round. The first team we're going to be bringing onto the stage is, get your hand signals ready, for FaZe Clan. So I've got Rain up here as well with the rest of the crew. They fit on the stage. That's a good start. Gentlemen, you guys as well, we've seen a fair bit of you online. You've really been putting in the work in online leagues, ECS and the ESL Pro League as well, of course, is doing some external events here and there. It's been tough though, to be honest. You've had some incredibly good games, and then some games that, you know, even you guys later on Twitter are saying, this is not us, this is not how we want to be playing. And when you were first formed as a team, the hype was real, right? This was like a hard-hitting team of superstars from around Europe. And you know, some people are saying now as well, maybe they're not really living up to the expectations we had for FaZe when they started. What do you have to say to that? Would you agree with that? Or do you think you have a lot more growing to do?
We had a down period in the start when Keo just came in the team. Yeah, but we feel like we're ready now. We had a boot camp now. We prepared good, so we have more to grow. We need to grow as a team, but I feel good now.
So obviously you guys did have that personnel change with Michael Ellie leaving and Keo coming in, and so a lot of people want to always ask the question, you know, we didn't get to interview you guys too much between that period and now, so we do want to ask about Keo's role in the team as well. You know, has he created a role for himself? Do you think that you sort of brought Keo in, allowed him to be Keo? Or, you know, do you guys have a certain structure that you sort of need your players all to fit under?
We let Keo play like he wants to. We don't have like a fit role for anyone. We play like a team and we win like a team. I don't know. It's just loose play style.
It's fine. It's a very long question for a very short answer, so don't worry about that as well. How do you feel about being drawn against him in the first round? Because you guys are quite experienced, you know, up against Dignitas. So how do you feel about that? And do you feel like you know what to expect here?
Yeah, we know what to expect of them and we know how to counter it, so it's all good.
Simple as that. Rain, thanks for joining me here on the stage as well. Thank the rest of you guys. Have a seat, and we'll get you guys ready to go. Pretty straightforward stuff there as well. It's kind of what happens when you ask a convoluted question. Expect a simple answer. But of course, their opponents, as we did mention earlier on, winning the EU minor. That's how they're here, of course, with a stunning performance over Gambit in those finals. It is the one, the only, Team Dignitas. Got Rubino here with me, of course, from Dignitas, and a lot of people are saying they have a lot of high hopes for you guys as well. They say you're looking pretty darn good. Of course, the departure of Kirby changed the face of your team a bit, but you brought KGB on board now as well. And one question everyone seems to be asking, or at least I hear them asking, what's KGB doing? Is he AWPing in this roster? Is it being shared still? Is he doing something else?
He's doing a lot of things. He's helping us with the city sides, calling on another spot that Mesel is on. He's AWPing, sector AWPing, so he's helping us a lot. And I think the change we got is helping us a lot to improve, to be on a better level. So I think it's for the best.
So talking about that as well, you have changed with this obviously roster swap as well. Do you think your strengths and weaknesses are still the same as a team in general, despite having, of course, that core player being exchanged?
I don't think we have the same weaknesses as before, to be honest. Before it was the city sides, and we have been boot camping prior for this event for 5 days, I think. And we worked on a lot of things, and I think we are more prepared as a team now, and yeah, it feels good.
So you've actually had most of the day to sit and see some of the games, whether here or obviously at the hotel while you're preparing. You've seen some of the teams already as well. You probably have an idea of who you may be going up against as one of 3 teams, of course, in the next round, depending. has anything surprised you so far? Obviously, we saw Gambit with a very strong performance there in that last game, who you were already bested in the EU minor. But anything stand out to you that you maybe didn't expect?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I looked at Fluffy Gangsters, I think, played versus Mao Sports. Was that true? And they nearly won, so that was like a shock for me at least. And the game Cloud9 played on versus Empire, I think. They were leading like 7-3 and lost some clutch rounds. So yeah, some things was like shocking, but yeah.
I spoke to Rain. I said, look, do you know what to expect? He's like, yeah, we absolutely know what to expect. We're just going to counter them and play our game. I mean, on the same kind of line, you guys play a lot online, right? You get to see a lot of each other, of course, in that regard. Would you say the same thing?
I don't know really what to expect from FaZe. Like, they have good individual players, but I feel that they never have been playing as a team. They do some dumb peaks and such, but like they have been bootcamping too. Maybe they have prepared things, and yeah, who knows?
Thank you very much for joining me. Good luck to you guys as well. You can have a seat, of course, and get ready for this game. One team seems to know exactly what they're going into. One team said we actually have no idea. We just have to play their own game. I have to wonder, Alex, if it's just overconfidence on one side or it's just having faith in oneself. But either way, these two teams are ready to continue the slugfest that's been the story for them over the last few months.
Thanks very much, Mitch. Now, I have to say, this is quite interesting. FaZe come into this, and after a good question from Mitch, you see Rain go, I mean, there's not much teamwork. I mean, we just kind of go in and see what happens.
Shoot stuff.
Right? And then Dignitas go, well, we don't know what they're going to do because they just go in and do stuff. And like it's obvious to us on the desk that FaZe just kind of come into games and hope things go well, which at the moment, it's safe to say you guys can back it up. It hasn't been working.
That's the dream of an interviewer, to be honest. When you get answers like that, well, that gave me a lot of things to work with. But
absolutely.
I think it's an interesting one here. Obviously, Dignitas just getting KGB instead of Caribou. Yeah. I mean, some would think Caribou is going to be that upcoming talent, and now he's gone to the way of Astralis. But in terms of team dynamic, this might actually be a positive thing for Dignitas as well. So I think both teams may have won in this trade-off. Now, obviously, it's going to add another layer into the way that Dignitas can set up their team. They have a capable opper in KGB. Obviously, we've already heard that he apparently is second opping, which is rather triggering to me. But you know, we'll see how that works out. It's still an interesting point to be made.
But you're pointing the finger at MSL there. You're suggesting that he isn't a competent AWPer. If my memory serves, he has actually performed relatively well on particular maps. He has good AWPing maps.
But I think I would call him a competent AWPer, absolutely. But I think
an AWPer.
A competent AWPer.
Not too firing shots.
But no, I would still rank Cajun as a better AWPer than MSL. But I also think Cajun is a better rifler than MSL.
Okay.
So I guess it's the trade-off of what you want, depending on what kind of positions you play, etc. in the team. They have swapped things around. Rubino's the running mate of config now, running about on the map, and Cajun's primarily playing a lurker from what I've heard on their T sides. So you know, if you're going to lurk, probably not the best idea to be the main AWPer. And I don't think we will ever see MSL play the kind of happy role with being the in-game leader from the back, really, and from the other side of the map. Yeah, so he likes to be more hands-on in that case.
And we'll see where that gets them. I do want to turn our attention to FaZe then, just so we have an opportunity to address this. You saw the interview, guys. You were sitting here with me. I can't help but feel they don't even really have an answer at the moment. We want to know how they're going to change things, how they're going to make these huge names in Counter-Strike work together. And yet he just goes, I don't know, we'll play our game, which to me was kind of upsetting. I know they've got the ability. It's just that there is no leadership structure currently.
I guess that's where we're going to get a big answer whether or not the hiring of Robin has actually paid off or not. We heard about it the first time at Leipzig, which was late January, and at that point, obviously, it's too early to tell what kind of an impact that has had.
Yeah.
But it's been a couple of months now, so I think if Robin has actually anything to actually apply to the team from what he learned in his days in SK and whatnot, that should be in there by now. Otherwise, it might just be like it's a operation that doesn't really quite mesh.
Well, you have to take into consideration that the first 6 months of this year, or 5 months of this year, has been a bit of a blender for FaZe, and we don't really have a lot to go by when it comes to FaZe. Now it's going to be a totally different beast, I guess. Obviously changing from Michael to Kyo. two very different type of players, and how does that dynamic work? And now, obviously, like you just said, I think this is going to be the true test of Rollbound and how they've actually been able to. Is he going to be able to bring that leadership that they need, because their players themselves are not traditional Ingo leaders.
Natural leaders, yeah, by all means. And that was kind of the most scary part, or scary thing to me, actually, hearing, when it first came out that Rain was the in-game leader of that team.
Just want to make sure we catch the vetoes, because they're on the screen right
absolutely.
now. We will come back to that discussion. I'd love to know Natu's thoughts on coaching in general, just because of his experiences with NIP. But first, let's get our heads around this one. Cash taken by Dig, Overpass is removed by FaZe, and they follow that up with a nuke ban. So still no nuke.
Yeah, no, but this is simply because Dignitas are actually one of the teams that practice nuke, and they practice it a lot. And obviously, actually going into this veto, normally it would have been pretty 50-50 in terms of advantage. Problem for FaZe going up into this game is that one of their best maps was Inferno prior to its removal. And, well, nuke coming in, that's one of the maps that Dignitas have been working on. Obviously makes that an auto ban for them. Overpass as well. Very good map for.
Why is Mirage still available? Halvor?
This is the last two maps that FaZe has left up are kind of getting the lesser bad, basically. Cobblestone and Mirage, both maps where Dignitas has always been very confident on, and it turns out to be Mirage. It's a map where, well, Dignitas is pretty much
their best map.
Yeah, they've made their name through that map, so that's definitely not the best of vetoes you could have had.
But I think that thought process for FaZe in this is that, well, as of late, they haven't really picked up too many wins on Mirage, but they've had very good games on it. So well, for those who watched it, the marathon game of NIP versus FaZe, I think it was 31-28 or something in favor of NIP just last week. Like, they've had losses on it, but they've been actual good games where they've had a fair shot of actually winning it.
Well, now the thing is with that veto though is the fact that since Dignitas does play nuke, so what are the routes that FaZe could have taken in that veto? I mean, they don't play Overpass, right? Yeah. So they're gonna stick that out of the map hole, and then they also took out. Cobble.
Now this is what I just want to quickly raise, right? If I was to ask you what are the two best maps for Dignitas, it's Cobblestone and Mirage, right?
You could argue that Overpass is one of them.
Okay.
And I think that's why we saw FaZe also go for that ban.
That's why my brain was going flat. Obviously, they vetoed Overpass and Nuke because they know that Nuke is a map that Dignitas plays, and Overpass is a map they don't play themselves. So that's leaving one more veto, and then it's down basically to what Dignitas is going to veto themselves. And well, basically, like I said, it came down to two maps that are both quite variable for Dignitas, at least on paper.
Yeah, and the real problem really is the removal of Inferno for FaZe, because that weakens their veto, and there's just the strength of their map pool by so much. And Dignitas, they're quick adapters, and, well, Danish people have always been fond of nuke.
Let's not forget the fact that still, we've seen this lineup with Kyo playing already a little bit, but still it's been early days. They had a lot of official games going on. They didn't have a lot of time to practice. Now they've had time to boot camp. They've had some downtime from official games. So this would be the moment for them to show what that practice have made them to be.
Yeah, and also Mirage is kind of a map that allows people who get hot to actually take control over the map. You can get so much map control just by having one of your star players going off and finding early picks that can open up a world of opportunities for you. So again, you can really never write out FaZe completely out of the conversation, because they have so many star players that could potentially just win a game by themselves.
But is that not their weakness as well? If their players are not hitting their shots, they don't have strategy, they don't have a core to fall back on.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's an issue in that team in itself. They don't have the plan B to go back into when individuals are not playing up to their potential, and I mean they're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also having that firepower is the one thing that can carry them over the disadvantage of let's say, well, a less favorable map veto, which they currently find themselves in.
So we're talking about Dignitas' Mirage, saying it's their best map. Can either of you shed light on why is the map that they kind of made their name on alongside Cobble and Overpass?
Well, it's a bit different now, I guess, because they've brought in Cajun.
Initially, then?
Initially, well, first off, they just play a very strategical way on Mirage, which, if you follow the basics, you're just getting map control, getting control of mid, all of those things, executions become a lot easier. And Dignitas have done kind of, by the book as to how they want to take control over mid and how they actually set themselves up. Yeah, and how they set themselves up for success by just doing things as a team. So whenever you've got mid controlled, you'll see one guy, going halfway up a connector where it's smoked off at the top side, so he can pop flash for a guy pushing in towards short or a ladder room, that type of thing. So you just gradually work as a unit and churn your way forward.
So let's return to that coach discussion for a moment. It does look like a monitor is being fiddled with, so that gives me an opportunity now to ask you. Roban coming in for FaZe. Now, this, to some old heads especially, will be excited to see that name present behind these players, but you yourself have witnessed what happens. You know, you can't just put any competent CS player, CS brain behind a team and make it work.
Yeah.
So what are the problems that Robban could be facing coming into this coaching role?
I mean, it's all, like I think we slightly touched it earlier, the problem can be like, what kind of a leadership do you have in the team? So meaning that what kind of coaching do you need? Well, that's another part, is the respect part, obviously, but what kind of leadership do you need from the coach? If there's a competent in-game leader within the lineup, then you just need to be kind of filling in to little gaps here and there. You're reminding people of certain smokes of flashes and whatnot they need to do, giving some ideas here and there, calling the timeouts. But when you don't have like a really good in-game leader in the team, that's when you need to be super hands-on, basically just calling everything. Yeah, like Threat is doing right now. Starix is doing pretty much right now. So I mean, he obviously has the help of Zeus in the game as well, who's been an in-game leader previously, so that obviously is going to help. That dynamic works great. So, but in this situation, the issue Robban will have is that he will pretty much have to lead this team, in my opinion, for them to be competent when it comes to strategies.
So straight up, like calling mid-round calls as well, alongside these.
You can't do exactly everything. It has to be. It's a lot about feel, you know, when you play and stuff like that. But for pre-round stuff and some of the mid-round stuff as well.
Damn, okay, so there's a lot of weight on Robban's shoulders. It'd be great, actually, if we can, at some point throughout these 4 days, get an interview with him to know how he's feeling about all of that. I'm sure we'll make sure that can happen. I'll start prodding and poking people to make sure that happens. Mitch is hiding somewhere, riding his kangaroo around. I'll go make sure he makes that happen. But it does look like Dignitas are encountering a couple of problems, and so we can just take a little bit of a step back and actually address the biggest problem of all with FaZe. Not only is it that they've got incredible players, but when have we seen these guys at their best? I can't think of a time when we were sitting there like, finally things are breaking through.
Cluj and Poker.
Yeah, I was going to say Cluj and Poker.
Right.
Yeah, it's been what, like 8 months since that happened. So ever since then, I think they took a little bit of a break maybe from competition, if my memory serves me right. And then coming back, they were kind of sluggish. And I think it seemed like they seemed to have some chemistry issues in the team. Mike Lille was, you know, slowly getting ousted from the team, kind of a thing, and then it eventually happened. Then picking up Kiyoshima, obviously being a very different type of a player.
Kind of resets everything.
Yeah, so you have to start over pretty much all over again.
They do seem to feel good about this Kyo pickup, though. When you guys saw that move, what was your initial thoughts about Kiyoshima?
To me, Kyo was like in the early NV days and LDLZ days, like he was a friggin' beast. Yeah. Like he would be just getting entries left, right, and center. Like just his aim was so crisp, and then just kind of along with his team, it seemed like they got a little bit too content, maybe. You know, with the success they had, you know, the money was coming in, with everything, life was great. We'd go gamble, you know, life was great, and then, you know, Counter-Strike became kind of iffy for them. So maybe there's going to be an opportunity for him to really get back into things, and having a new environment to work with might be a positive sign for him.
No, for me, it was, I saw it as a positive. The only thing that worried me was obviously communication. We talk about it time and time again, how important that's going to be, but Kyo, having lived in the UK for quite some time, perfectly capable and, you know, speaking English well. So that's not going to be an issue at all, I think. So for now, it's more have the Mesh's play styles, and I thought that would be a good pickup because he showed that he could, you know, be the kind of guy who wins you a game simply by just having a star type of performance. But he can also be the guy who just plays a more passive role, who makes sure that he actually, well, pretty much improves his teammates' performances, which is something that FaZe need, because they don't really need more firepower necessarily. They just need someone to build each other up at any given time, and I think he's a really good player at doing that.
Definitely a competent individual, and I'm looking forward to seeing if he does continue to grow. I remember that breakout performance where he was versus Envy, and actually, you know, he was dropping mad frags and killing his old teammates, and I remember a huge smile. I've never seen Kiyoshima with such a huge smile on his face in that winner's interview. Big stuff from him. Still fiddling with monitors, so I'm going to go ahead and just quickly ask our analysts to choose a name from these two teams. It's a name that they're going to be their player to watch. Now, I don't always do this, but it's often, I mean, when you've got a rivalry like this and also names like this, it's always interesting to know where you pick and who you choose to justify it. Now, I personally, and I don't ever get to play these games, but I'm playing it today just because I find AZ as a very interesting player to watch, and his history and his route to where he is now is always very interesting, just because of how he kind of got plucked and kind of recognized so quickly. What about you guys? Who's your player to watch?
Can I pick one from each team?
That's right, yeah.
All right. For me, Dignitas, Cajun, new addition. I guess it's the safe choice, right?
I'll give it to you.
But it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with having that secondary op role, whether or not he's going to take it on himself to actually, you know, use it as much as possible, whether or not they're going to rely on double op setups, if he's going to play, you know, that catwalk Gary like he used to do for Astralis, etc. As for FaZe, I would have to go with Rain. He's been their most consistent performer as of late. And in my eyes, he is, by quite some margin, the best player in the team just overall. So
Wow, okay.
expect him to do big things
Let's
if FaZe
run
is going to
with
be
that.
successful.
Yeah.
Best player in the team in FaZe. You agree with his sentiments?
It's in the realm of possibilities for sure. I mean, he is a super explosive player, but I'm gonna choose someone else from FaZe that I don't think anyone would have guessed. I'm gonna choose Fox because he's an interesting individual. Has gotten a lot of flack for not performing at times. You know, I think in the early days, especially, he was not in a position where he could really play the up to his potential. To be honest, right now he's obviously going to be the upper of the team, and we've seen, especially inclusion of Napoca, he had some massive performances with that up. So one issue he has is consistency, similar to Michael as well. He's notorious for not being consistent, but also with Fox a little bit same issue. So if he can consistently hit the shots he can pull off, then he's going to be a great asset to this team. So watch out for that. On Dignitas' side, watch for MSL. I mean, we were talking about it. If he's going to be that main upper, let's see how many of those so-called easy shots, when you're just taking an angle, waiting for someone to pop into your crosshair, he's going to hit or miss. Because those should be the sort of easy ones. You know, we see the nice flicks here and there, but the easy ones are the ones that you are supposed to be hitting at least 9 out of 10 times.
Okay, I didn't hear your Dignitas player.
That was Cajun.
Cajun,
Exactly.
excuse
So
me.
both of the operas really for Dignitas and Focus, which you know they could easily go to a double op setup on Mirage and be successful with it on their CT side. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. But you didn't pick a player from Dignitas.
No, I didn't. Okay,
roll.
let's play
Just
this
like
game.
eeny, meeny,
I'm just
miny,
like
moe.
looking across. Okay, I'm going to go for Config only because he looks like he's got taller and stronger. I don't know what happened. They put him in like one of those kind of cryogenic chambers, and he came out just like I'm.
It's like Captain America.
I don't know what happened. I swear, like 2 weeks ago, he was 2 inches taller.
How does that
taller.
translate to in-game, though?
He's going to be on the top of the scoreboard because he's on the top of the height chart. No. Okay, let's get into
You
this
tried.
one. Our casters are ready. Dignitas FaZe is going down on Mirage. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's get into our next game. Game 7.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Thank you, Alex. But we are live into game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this pistol round goes down, because Dig on their T side have a very unique style of doing this, which includes a lot of nades towards CT. They leave that one smoke open. The others go down towards jungle and stairs, and it looks like I can see that right now. But, yeah. How you doing, Blue?
I'm doing good. You went right into that.
You got to. We're already off to a start.
You didn't even, touch on Alex's pretty bad pun
No,
there.
I try and help him, but, sometimes there's no saving Alex.
But anyway, the members of Dignitas pretty quickly working their way out into the site. Still down a man at this point, however, and Rubino as well at 20 HP. Not going to be doing himself any favors, but Fox struggling to connect the shot there. Still manages to take down Cajun B, and Rain popping off some shots from at range there too. Takes out Rubino, but it's not without a cost. It brings Config down as the last man. That's a good shot there to take down Rain, but now he's going to try to bring this back under his control, and he's just going to run it over to the B bomb site, it would seem.
Oh, will he? Yes, he will.
Yeah.
Definitely going over. They're not going to try and bait out one player in towards taking a fight. No, he gets the plant, and now he's got a P250 and armor. Now, you can play around with that pretty well. Only 9 bullets, though. Nothing left else to play with. What position will he pick? He's actually going to go for a bit of an information play towards Kitchen, which is kind of deadly. Okay, he spots out one. Probably going to hit the steps with the other, but Jacob doesn't care. Just going to pick him up real swift. It looked hopeful for a second. Not the case. But just to kind of rewind it back, let's backtrack a little here, because we did dive in right into the game there. Going back to the start, Dig are on the T side, FaZe on the CT side. Dig doing what we know them to do in these pistol rounds, which I actually quite like from them, but again, not too surprising. And FaZe sat back, played almost on the retake, which is a smart way to play it. What's your opinion on this matchup here, Blue?
I think this is actually probably one of the stronger matchups of the day. When we look at the teams coming into it and their reputations, Dignitas still trying to find a way into the major after struggling in their last couple of attempts to forge their way into it. But we're going to see their first real big test here, and it's going to be against probably one of their stronger opponents. They're probably going to have one of the harder roads of all of them, because they have to start off here, and assuming they can actually win this match, they go directly into the harder pool and then have to bounce their way back from there as well.
And I'm a huge fan of Dignitas on this map, personally. I'm a massive fan of the style they bring. I love the way they play this map. So this is, again, something that they've done before. They cut this site very differently to others. They literally cut it in half, so the tech lines become a little more deadly. They allow for a plant, mostly down towards ramp, and okay, they're going to lose out on players, but now let's see if that retake actually can get into the site. And it should do. It should work pretty well here. But Dig needs to start doing some damage. Otherwise, these 3 players, even though they got the plant, it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, everybody else from Dignitas, you can see Rubino just looping his way around, but FaZe already have full control of the site again, and they're going to be jumping on the bomb in a second. Full 10-second defuse, granted, so somebody is able to roll in and surprise and take that down. Maybe they can upset, but there's a good shot from Config. I don't think it's actually going to pull anybody off the bomb, though, and yep, there's the big issue in that. Because they were so displaced from the site, Rubino is not able to actually push back in and stop them from defusing, so they still pick up the round.
Yeah, and these are the things that we've seen with Dignitas before that theoretically they're really nice strategies, but sometimes the execution, not even the execution, but the holding the retake and such is almost impossible. They've pulled off rounds like that before when they had someone playing through mid instantly, when Config didn't have to go on that huge flank around the side. But already good stuff from FaZe to be able to hold this back. They haven't seemed, well, God, the phrase I was going for, they don't seem fazed by it, but now I feel disgusting for saying it. But still, FaZe just reading this really well individually, not having to outplay them particularly, but just retaking the sites perfectly.
You just got to slip those in. Don't even mention the fact that it's a
what do you need to do?
Just slip them in.
It's late in the day.
See what I did there?
I did. Now we're down to 3 on the T side.
The problem is you brought it up. If I didn't get to mention anything, would have gotten through that without any issues.
Dig any deeper. No. We highlight these things. You try to highlight on Alex being a complete mess on that desk. You get a little bit of it right now. For Cajun B, known to some as the cleaner with 6 bullets and a dream, 1 minute left. Doesn't pick up the bomb. Just carries on.
He's gonna get knocked out. When I say Cajun, what do you say?
Dead.
I say B, because he's now on the B Danish team.
Oh, I like Dignitas. That's so mean.
Now we're just getting brutal here. It's getting late into the night here at ESL.
It's no longer a family show, ladies and gents. It has descended into something very different. But now let's take a look at this, because we already see Fox up on the AWP. We do have a decent buy coming in for Dignitas, and I would say that their mid takes are always quite impressive. They always do them quite well, but if Fox has a good game, that could really unravel this. And look how they're playing and not really putting anyone too attentively towards mid in comparison to, let's say, Renegades earlier on, who had Sponge always over there as a diving in as well. Now, a very different approach, but it looks like a bit of a solid B hit coming out from Dig here. What are you going to press to Jacob and Rain? And Jacob falls, but Rain is there to hold it strong with a P90, but only picks up 1.
But it's now Fox looking for another shot outside, but nobody really out in the open. Smoke's going to boil in there too. And he's got to reposition pretty quickly, but Dignitas with a very aggressive usage of their nades here now as soon as they get that bomb on the ground, and that smoke's actually a little bit imperfect, so AZ's able to spot some stuff through that. Molly's even going to roll in, but it ends up being completely wasted because it isn't tossed out far enough. Regardless though, all these mollies and everything that's tossed out is enough to force FaZe Clan to just go for the save. They're not going to want to risk themselves on a retake at all. They're just going to give this up and let Dignitas win the first gun round.
So this is the thing. Now, I'd say on paper, individually, you definitely go with FaZe. Like a 1-to-1 level, there's definitely players you could pick out, like Config. I'd say this is actually one of the maps he never did particularly well on CT side, but T side is always very proficient. But FaZe, all in all, you've got to pick them every day of the week. Rain's starting to perform again. We've seen Keo having some real high points. Fox now having some bad performances, but everyone's starting to do well. So for Dig, they are the strategic team out of these two. So I'm really interested to see how these two clash, because you've got very contrasting styles in that aspect. 3-1 though, FaZe do pick up the first and run with it. Dig gonna, I guess, pick up the first gun round, if you want to call it that. And Fox still on the AWP though. They did manage to save 3, so they're just gonna buy around it and try and supplement what they already had.
And Dignitas making it out of that too with some pretty minimal losses, so they're going to be able to scavenge up some money very early on in the round, but pretty direct again to line themselves up, at least get prepared for working their way into the A-bomb site should they want to attempt to take here. Keo up on the platform. He's going to be waiting for the push to come out through the palace there. Won't be spotting any of it just as of yet. In the meantime, MSL looking to sneak his way up there a little bit further towards middle, and he succeeds in doing so. Gets some great damage on the Fox, bringing him down to 12 HP, and now they're going to start to boil out, but Keo holds the first player. Config responds, though, by taking down another, eliminating AZ. And as more of them start to boil in here, MSL is going to pick up a second frag, but Rain responds back over here on the platform.
Yeah, the problem being, Rubino's the one with the bomb. He's yet to be able to make it out, so he's in a bit of a tricky spot. And Fox, he tags him. He doesn't get the kill. That's so unfortunate. Now, Rubino stays alive, but that does mean that there's still a chance here for FaZe. Rain desperate to get involved in this. But they're running out of a little bit of utility here. They've still got enough to play with, and look how hesitant Dig are. They're slowing it down. Pretty much a Danish style almost. You can see it reflected in people like Astralis a little here, starting with Cajun B now in the lineup. But in a 3v2, Dignitas have the upper hand. But how can they work their way into it? Rain gets flash, gets challenged, takes down Cajun B, but 1-for-1 trade out means it's just Fox left alive again, and so low. I guess it's time to save this.
Yeah, 12 HP. He doesn't even want to take a risk on sort of sticking around and toy with a couple of the players. Maybe hope he can tag one of them. But just as I say that, he comes back in through the crawl space and is going to try to work his way back into the site. There is nothing to be found, however, as he smokes it back off. It actually looks like he's going to go fully out in the site, but maybe actually fully attempting this. He's going to go for it, and they're pretty far off the mark, too. If he had a smoke for the T-steps there, he'd have a pretty good chance of boxing it off, but just not paying attention to it at all, I guess. And with that, Rubino's going to find an easy tap away to finish the round, and there goes the op.
Yeah. Kind of weird way of playing that one out, but okay. Because he had more than ample chances to walk away from that, but maybe he fancied his chance. He did have the smoke and the flash, so okay.
And I mean, with that in play, that would have given the entire team like a full buy with rifles and the op included, but now because he's chosen to not save that op, one player's going to have to downgrade to a CZ. So that is a bit of a weird choice, especially when you consider he had very low chances of pulling that off to begin with.
Yeah. But let's see what FaZe can do now. It's going to be AZ standing towards Connector. He gets overrun and then trades out, but exactly ideal. Going to isolate the two players on either side here. So down towards Jacob and Rain towards B, but you got Fox. It was Keo, but Rubino, perfect timing coming out of those apps. And this is one thing I would say. He's one of those players with a great intuition towards it. You see some weird players having some really good play, like Moddy almost sometimes. Some of his best rolls are coming through Palace towards A. And at the moment, it looks like Rubino's kind of on point with that feeling how, you know, when you feel pressure in A, the worst place to get pushed from is Palace. So nice to see that working out well, but still, Dig having to work for these rounds, but surprised how easily they're taking some of these sites.
It's another situation, too, where FaZe are already put into a save, just not even going to attempt it. This has been a lot from Dignitas now, where they just broil into the site, and FaZe don't even know what to do with themselves. They have to sit back and give it up entirely, even when they're fairly close situations. Like that first gun round, it was definitely a palatable retake for the members of FaZe, but they just decided to not even go for that one. So Agent B actually looks like he's somehow able to get away from that situation, despite interesting chain of events there. And Jacob as well, now praying that the molly doesn't expand in his direction. Looks like he's going to be able to be safe, though, and make it out of that round with the rifle.
That's the thing, how do you start countering this? Because so far, Dig have been pretty forward. They've not been playing particularly slowly. They've been hitting the sides hard. They've been just kind of doing not just standard executes, but pretty default to a degree. Maybe splitting one player, whether it's MSL through mid or Rubino through Palace. You know, one of the two kind of working each other's way through it. But at the moment, it's kind of a weird one to see. So we are going to see the 5-man stack coming out towards A for FaZe. So in theory, they've got some firepower to greet this. Let's see how well they pull it off, though.
Again, now they're going to try to just counter out the raw power with raw man power here for the members of FaZe, just hoping they can stack all 5 here and counter it out just by overwhelming them in the peak from underneath. Actually works out great to begin with, but then you can just see the spray of kills coming out for Dignitas there, but somehow they're responding, and now they've got it down to a 2-on-1. Falls to Tensky to try to clutch this out now in the 1v2. Has a pistol in hand as well for some reason. 3 bullets left in the clip. Just going to have to go for the reload there. They give him the time to do it, but now as well, he's allowed Jacob to reposition himself further out, but there's the first kill. Cannot grab the second one, though, and FaZe just stack the site, and it works out for them at the end of the round.
Jacob came up huge as well. The one player with the rifle made the impact play in that, but then again supported well by Rain and Keo, also picking up frags, denying that kind of split, or that kind of, I guess, waterfowl, you know, ball coming out of Palace. None of that was able to happen. No pressure came from it. So a good read from FaZe, bearing in mind that they put all those players towards A. They went, all right, screw this. They may split one somewhere, but actually this is where we want to try and take that big bulk of the fight. It's now down to the 1-3-1 start out from Dig. Tensky and Rubino split across the map, a classic way of doing it, but normally it's MSL smoking towards the kind of deeper or CT side of Connector and then working their way up towards B. Again, not sure if they're going to do it. They still have so much adaptation to come through in this one. And Cajun B now being an addition. This looks exactly like that play. You do have the smoke down on the other side of Connector, isolating AZ a little bit, but there's still a good crossfire in play here between Rain and AZ.
Rain there trying to spot some of the action going on in the catwalk early on in the round. Spot the players and promptly mollies it off and falls back to the site itself. The rest of Dignitas quickly exploring things in middle, but Cajun B is saved there by MSL, who moves in and finds that kill into AZ. He was exposed for just a few more moments there. He would have been a dead man, but before going down, AZ does a boatload of damage to both MSL and Cajun B, bringing them both down to just around 10 HP. MSL, though, still fragging, moves in and shuts down Keo.
Keo maybe a little static there. He's been playing by Dark a hell of a lot. Rubino's had to deal with him normally, but MSL getting through towards jungle means that a lot of weight off their shoulders. But now Fox is still close by, and no one's really locking down CT. Now they do. They apply pressure left and right. They make sure he can't get anything out of that. And now again, down to 2 players, Rain and Jacob, just kind of stuck. They've never had a chance to do these big retakes on these buys. These side takes have been pretty impressive, and good positioning from Rain. At least going to make it, I'd say, costly, but at this point, surely Dig's money's pretty decent. It's not too stable just yet. Okay, so still doing a bit of damage here and there. and keeping all the weapons more importantly for FaZe.
Coming off that last round is definitely going to hurt the money overall for these
True.
guys, as that was not an
wiped out my
expected turn of
memory.
events. Definitely weren't expecting that turn of events to happen there with a big stack on the site. And even normally when you see this too, it's just like, at least from my spectating experience, like they always just get really unlucky and it never ends up actually going to the site where they go for the 5-man stack on. That's one of the few times I've actually seen Dignitas play direct, or just the team that's on the offense play directly into that stack there. So it worked out great for those guys, and they somehow managed to win that round, which destabilized things for Dignitas. But now they're going to bounce right back here and tie things up again.
The thing for me with FaZe is I want to see how they intend to counter this, because this was a thing. Even on the stage, they were asked you, how do you feel coming up against these guys? Are you prepared? What do you have in mind? Like, I don't know, we'll just, we feel pretty confident, I guess. And I want to see FaZe really take the reins here, because this is a dig map. You don't leave this open in the pool without something in mind. So I'm hoping we get to see that FaZe, that fire that they can bring, but maybe not in this round, unless Rain can really have an impact. And sadly, he already gets shut out by MSL. Good work from AZ with the deagle there, just going to pluck Config's head from his shoulders, and he keeps going. All right, Kio's found Tensky. And what is with the games I'm casting and pistols being those deadly thing on the board?
The worst thing about that too is that pistol shot like sent the bomb flying.
Yeah.
So now they had to, you could see if he dies just outside of connector, and that bomb somehow ends up almost at the edge of staircase. So it's not even like they could creep in and try to retrieve the bomb and evacuate from that area. They actually have to fully commit to that push now. So a bit unfortunate the way the physics end up working out at the end of the day there. And there you go.
It goes.
There goes the bomb. And now everybody from Dignitas has to push in.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Again, FaZe is the thing. You can never underestimate them individually. It's just you hope they're able to get the chance to take those one-to-one fights. But look at this mid-aggression. Okay, they're going to try and switch things up here. Dig have been doing those 3-man plays through mid, so this is maybe a good chance for them to counter this. But nice flash comes out and they trade. AZ takes down MSL, Rabino takes down AZ. But now Fox still has some control here, and they have maybe an idea of what's going on, but still, Tensky and Cajun B are edging their way in towards that B side. Reigns had to pull himself back, so maybe reading into this pretty well so far.
Jacob had to do the fire dance there as he moved his way in through the connector and literally made it out with 1 tick left. And if he had stood in that fire for just a little bit longer, he would have been a dead man. But for the time being, he makes it out alive.
All right, 4v4. Let's see what we've got left here. So it looks like they're posturing towards a B hit so far if you're Dignitas. They still have utility to play into this, but they've still got a minute as well, so not in a particular rush. Rain and Jacob going to be playing the B site, Fox and Keo over by A. Neither want to give anything up because a quick rotate through underpass can easily happen in this one, and maybe that's what they're actually looking for here. Rabino's already going around towards Palace. This could still very much be an A hit, but Fox, I wonder if he's keeping eyes on underpass. He could be a huge changing factor here, but just backs away from it.
Moving into the A site now to get ready for a hit in this direction, but it is prepared fairly well now, as it does appear to be what Dignitas are posturing towards. Players working their way out through underpass. They still do have Rubino lined up inside of the Palace too. And they're getting ready to go for the explosion play outside of connector. I think a player is also primed to jump in the window room too. I'm not sure if they boosted him up properly, but it looked like it from our point of view. Cajun B though finds the first entry kill, takes down Keo. Fox is going to try to roll into the site, but that ends up being a big mistake because Rubino's there, he's ready for it. And now he's going to punish it. Again, full site control being gained, and I believe there's going to be another save in the works for FaZe as they were just caught off guard when the site take came in.
And you've almost got a feel for Keo and Fox, and they're watching everything. They played pretty well, but they didn't expect the boost in the window, then the pressure from connector, and it's just, well, you can't watch all that many spots when you have 2 players. It's as simple as that. But Dig as well, not overcommitting towards sites, takes a mid control. Okay, they lost a bit of a trade out there. Well, not even lost, but evenly came away, but then worked it really well with what they had left. And this, again, is some of the prowess that Dig have, which is kind of worrying if you're FaZe. You've got to be able to replicate this. You could argue that T-side's probably going to be pretty deadly, considering you can see maybe more individual, I guess, power coming in, but still, Config's going hunting. He's a little hungry here. Jacob just up to the right. Good work from Jacob there. Considering on 3 HP, that's actually pretty impressive. Another second to lose, I guess.
So shut that down very quickly, and indeed he does that. But I'm still very impressed with how sleuthily Dignitas are able to line up these takes and then just all of a sudden explode onto the sites. I mean, at the beginning of the half, we were seeing them in like very basic forms, like just rush the site, just walk right up, or just get your smokes ready and then walk right into the site. But as we've gone further and further into the half, they've come up with like new ways to slowly just lurk their way towards the entry position. And then all of a sudden they're out of the site, and like we see many times, FaZe just don't even know how to react to that because the takes happen so quickly, and also because the entry power is so strong for Dignitas right now too. Oftentimes they can't even hold the site, and the remaining members on the other side just have to go for a save.
But looking at this, MSL's doing the same smoke he always does. This is nothing new particularly. This is the smoke that goes down towards the other side of connector, which allows them to take further mid control and then work off the kind of extremities. This is very much, quote unquote, I guess, classic Dig. So it's kind of surprising to not see maybe FaZe, not necessarily more aware of it, but just kind of falling very head first into the clutches of it. But they have switched something up here a little bit. They've got Keo and AZ very much pulled in towards A. Rain just keeping control of connector. Jake watching ladder room, so kind of ignoring window and playing the push-ups towards the site. It almost works out there. It's a 1-for-1 play from the back of it, but look how spread out Dig are here.
Jacob does spot the bomb, though, before he ends up going down, in addition to finding the 1-for-1 trade there, so at least they know its presence is going to be over here on cap for the time being. Unfortunately, with how close it is to middle, with the events that unfolded there inside of Darkroom, anything could evolve from that, including a switch up to the A side, so I don't really think anybody from FaZe is going to be able to react to that too heavily. And in fact, they're going to wait a little bit longer now because of this play. It's happened. Eventually, though, it's just going to go right towards the A side. I think FaZe do have a read on this, though, as you can tell the positions on B are very passive. And they're very ready to rotate over to the A bomb side at the moment's notice, which is going to be happening now, but it's AZ that gets aggressive again at the beginning of it, and unfortunately he's going to lose his life to Config. Keo does respond, holds out the Palace push, but again, he only also grabs a 1-for-1 trade.
Fox and Rain this time going for it at least here. Good start from Rain. Catching out Cajun but now he's all alone. Makes it a double. All right, we're down to a 1v1. Tensky up against Rain. And Tensky's gone on like around the world flank. He's got the hell out of there, and Rain's got to know this, but he's only got a flash. So Rain's got to play this perfectly.
But Tensky can just sit back and play
exactly. Rain has to take the fight. And oh! What an adjustment from Rain. He should never have that. But Tensky just not landing the shot cleanly, and Rain is one of those players that's been on the up and up pretty much. Individually, he started off pretty high. everyone talking about Rain, this guy. And then he kind of went off a little bit. He started to trot down, become a little calmer. But that sort of play is impressive. You've got to know where they're going to be, or at least have a good idea. But to still land that shot at the disadvantage, very much impressive here. But 6-5, there's still a good T-side from Dig.
Bit worried for FaZe there overall throughout the course of that round, just because there was so much trading going on and it never really ended up working out in their favor positionally. But then at the end of that round, Rain comes out to party. Finally, we see the big play that was needed to push them over the edge and pick up that round. So they keep the lead going for themselves, and now they're going to destabilize, to a certain degree at least, the T-side economy here. We can see the downgrades coming in from Dignitas. They still have 3 AKs in the mix, decent buys on most players, but MSL and Tensky have had to downgrade to either a Galil or a Tech 9. And to start off the round, Fox again in the window takes out MSL.
They've got to know what's coming now. Rain and Jacob have to be aware this is a full-on B hit, and Rain is in a good spot again. Takes down one, looks for the follow-up, and actually the crossfire is so perfect between them. Only Cajun B. Hello. Hello. Okay, Cajun Barbecue's coming out. All right, now left into 1v3. He's found 2, but down to 56 HP, Blue. This shouldn't happen. This shouldn't be allowed to happen. But there's no one watching mid here. He can have a clean rotate and a clean plant and a clean after position.
Cajun B's been fairly quiet for this match for the most part, so this is going to be a big opportunity for him to all of a sudden turn that around as he works his way into the A-bomb site. He's going to try to find the their FaZe clan are pushing in very quickly though, and they're suddenly realizing, well, we messed up.
Oh, Cajun, this is smart. The cleaner.
Is he going to go?
Oh, I love.
Nobody's pushing now. It really
Fox
depends.
is watching it.
Yeah, it really depends on how long Fox stays here, though. This is again, it all comes down to timing. And KGB's going to go for the cross now. Fox is repositioning, so if he had peeked there, he would have been able to do it, but the timing does not work out very well for Cajun B, as we do see there at the end. That was a nice camera transition, by the way. Did you see that? I thought they just applied like a filter to it for a moment. I was like,
what?
Yeah, that looked very cool.
Oh?
Nicely done, production team.
I'm proud of you guys. They're sitting there like, I hate these casters. Like, he's looking at me like, God's sake, they're talking about us again.
I can see that smile.
All right, but it has pretty much broken the back of Dignitas now. They're down to pistols. So, and I think you're right, actually. The one player that we're not seeing much out of, sadly, is Cajun B. Like, he's not been completely missing. He's been doing average, I guess, on scoreboard, but
there was a point, I think, within the first like 5 or 6 rounds where he was like bottom of the barrel territory on the frags, but he's recovered a little bit since then.
Gets a deep no more. Yeah, but nice little shutdown from FaZe. This is giving them a good buffer, I guess, going, looking toward their T side here. But they still have the opportunity to go for a good couple of rounds, and they have such a deep pool of plays that they can pull from on this. I'd say the CT side is just as good, maybe not as good. You wouldn't put it quite up there on the T side, which is the one thing that I like about Dig on this map personally. But then again, FaZe on their T side, this is the thing. You'd say the FaZe's T side is just as strong individually. They can kind of really shine, but tactically maybe not as advanced. So this is going to be fun to see. FaZe going for the aggression again. Jacob is going straight up mid.
He's going to play this very aggressively. Picks up the first kill, but he's somewhat low. 46 HP. Still manages to find another one, and Rain actually coming in there too to pick up those other 2 frags. All of a sudden, the entire oppressive force from Dignitas has just been destroyed. And they spot the fact that there may be some presence coming back in through underpass as well. So Tensy's going to be mollied off. He won't be finding anything in that position anytime soon. Rubino's going to try to move back in and recover, but Baseline are already long gone. They're going to let them move back in and retake this position because there's no reason to take any additional risks right now. Since they have the 5-on-2 advantage, they can easily split their players up and still be fairly safe regardless.
Okay, so Tensky and Rubino theoretically, against 5. Shouldn't be able to make too much of an impression here. They have been making great headway through Connector, but normally by this point, let's say, you know, Fox maybe would be removed, or someone trying to hold mid or hold that flex play, I guess you could call it, gets taken out. So it becomes a lot easier for Dig to take 2v2s. This time you can see how instantly focused FaZe are on this, but they still manage to find Keo. He maybe takes a little bit of a longer peek than he should have, or maybe didn't need to make that peek, but now Fox should be the next in line. He knows what's coming his way. Does land the shot. That's Tensky gone. Goes back for more. Can't find it. Rubino does find Fox, but nothing more to be found in that round for him. AZ's there to keep it safe after it looked a little bit scary. But this should, you'd argue, be a 10-5 half, considering the buy coming in here is not good.
Yeah, and coming up at the end of the day, their FaZe now have taken a good amount of control back. Dignitas, they're overall, like I said before, we were seeing some good entry power from them within the first, really the first like 2/3 of this entire half, but with FaZe constantly countering out their strats and whatnot, with them usually just bringing these fairly basic strats at the beginning of it and then having to evolve it a bit more beyond that. Ever since all that has been counted out, we just haven't seen much of that since then. This time, though, they're going to go back to this very aggressive style of play, already taking good mid control there, but now they've got to actually find some frags in the site itself. Rubino jumping down from on top of the platform. They didn't even watch for Kiyoshima, who's actually going to go up on top, and he's still wreaking havoc here. Nobody really watching out for that. It looked like it was starting off well for Dignitas, but it turns around very quickly, and it's going to end up being a 10-5 half in the favor of FaZe Clan.
Yeah, that was starting to look a little worrying. After that pistol round went to FaZe, then you saw Dig on that gun round going on a bit of a spree for a while, but then FaZe worked out a little bit of aggression, really finding those fights in mid, and they actually started to work out exactly how Dig were playing pretty quickly.
So with that said, guys, that is going to close things out here for the first half. And with that, we'll be right back after a quick commercial break for half number 2.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. We are getting ourselves ready for the second half here between FaZe and Team Dignitas. So already a bit of a nice start to things, 10-5 on the half. Now FaZe going into their T side, and it'll be Dignitas on the CT side. My brain is real going slow today. I'm just like, oh,
it's getting that late point. Of
it really is.
Things get a bit loopy on the analyst and the caster desk.
Yep, it's a struggle right now, but we're going through it. It's not over yet. This is still a good game though, so it might take us into the first round.
All right, guys. So FaZe Clan now jumping onto the T side with Dignitas to the defense here now. Most of the members of FaZe Clan are going to move very quickly outside through the B halls, and he's as well inside of the smoke there too. Would appear as though he's fairly obviously in that smoke. That's one of those questionable smokes, right? Think about it yourself. But there we go. Cajun B does eventually shut him down as they read that like a book. However, it's really a distraction for the actual take that's coming into the B bomb side right now. Tensky picking up the first kill. Cajun B wrapping in to find another one against Fox there. Leaving it just 2 alive on the T's, and Tensy's going to find another nice pickup there. And just like that, that entire offense from FaZe Clan goes absolutely nowhere. And Dignitas will be able to start the climb for a comeback very early in the second half.
It looks like Dig maybe had an idea that FaZe like that, or they were just playing around the concept of it because they had so many players positioned towards mid and B pretty much. I think they only had 1 player dedicated towards A, maybe just playing on the retake then more than anything, which is completely fair as well. But looking at it now, FaZe go back into it. Armor, Tech 9s, 0 utility? Okay. So no smokes, no flashes, no nothing, which is kind of strange. Did they have money for? No. To be fair, they actually didn't. So fair enough. I guess that's all they could afford. So this is going to be a straight up battle, and MSL might have a lovely time with this, and Config too if he turns around.
MSL actually going to get tagged a little bit there at the beginning, but he does spot 2 players working their way through the underpass. More support will be coming on the way in the form of Cajun B. Tries to throw a nade down, but I think it's just a little bit too far outside of the area. And Config as well doesn't actually notice Fox, I think, creeping a little bit close. I think he's trying to watch out for somebody lurching through the smoke there to make sure he doesn't get surprised by that one. But on the site itself, Rain already picking up 1 kill, struggling to find a second. It brings Config down to just 4 HP, but now as they work their way back in, AZ gets the mid-air shot onto Config in order to finish him off. And it's just left to Tensky and Cajun B to try and hold this off. Though Cajun B coming in, making a decent impact. He's going to get shot, though, and keep in mind, it's going to be pushing against him pretty heavily. He's still tagging these players down so low. And now, with him himself being down at 7 HP, he's found 1 more tap, and all he's got left to do is take down Keo. So, making a big impact here. 1 more to go, and he's going to pull off a 4K, an amazing comeback now for Dignitas to win this second round.
We need to go back into game because it is a 1v1. Stop staring at the players and stare at the game itself. Cajun B just gets found out in the end. Keo finds the angle, takes the fight, and saves it. Even if you didn't see it, I promise you it happened.
We saw the end of it.
Just. But yeah, let's go back to this one. You can see it already. Cajun B there just ridiculously taking these fights.
So close on a few of them, too.
Yeah.
There was about 2 frags that he could have got a little bit cleaner, and it might have given him some extra health to be able to take down Keo, but at the end of the day, Keo does end that before it gets too crazy. And that's going to be the upset round, too, and this is a bit dangerous considering the scoreline is so polarizing right now, and that if Dignitas had won those 3 straight, including the first gunner, we would have been almost tied, like, right from the get-go in this half. But now that FaZe Clan have responded with the second round, we don't see an extremely aggressive buy to respond to that from Dignitas themselves. That could put them in a very bad position here, with FaZe Clan starting off strong on the second half.
Yeah, this could really spiral. Keo's going to punish Tensky. Config, Cajun B, and Rabino still pretty much locked in towards A, these 2. And if the pinch comes in, they could maybe do some damage, but it's going to be limited at this point, yeah. So Rain and Fox going to be the ones to clean this one up, and a lovely clean round for FaZe. That's exactly what you want. You don't want to be losing out players needlessly. And money-wise, it's still far from ideal for Dignitas here. They can stick on those SMGs pretty much. You've got 3 there. You've got the 2 UMPs and the MAC-10. Why not keep going on it? You've got the mollies to supplement, perfectly clear out the corners if required. And yeah, I'm looking at digging into the gun rounds though, because the one thing that I do remember a couple of teams having the discussion of, or at least surprising, was the fact that Config was very quiet on this map playing B. He used to be one of the B players, and I'm wondering if he's actually going to be there, as it looks like Cajun B actually might be posted there himself. So this might be a bit of a new lease of life or a new style coming out for Dig here. And this is going to be an easy round. There should be almost no damage done. The only player with pretty much any bit of firepower is Cajun B here.
Another frag there, and it just seems to be a combo of them coming in for FaZe Clan this time around. Unfortunately, Dignitas not really able to impact, and down goes Config, giving a backflip on the way out there, as will MSL, as Jacob picks up the last kill. It's a very straightforward round for FaZe Clan to pick up a 13. 3 more away from ending this map in their favor, and for Dignitas, a very long climb back to try to tie this up.
Yeah, and the best thing being the 3 players who had the SMGs got all those kills in, so their money is even more robust here. And will they do it? Yeah, they're sticking on them. Okay, 2 UMPs still in play. Fox and Jacob just going to really try and solidify pretty much the bank they've got building up, and why not? You know they're going to be limited, and Rabino already going to go aggressive here towards ramp, and look at this play through mid. Jacob, Fox, Keo going to go for the punish, and we've got to stack both bits of aggression coming into play. Jacob flies in towards jungle, catches that MSL, but the response is perfect, and it's Cajun B and Tensky at the forefront of that, and the stack worked out, and then some for Dignitas. But again, scary stuff then. FaZe showing they've got just as much firepower, just as much aggression as Dignitas just showed in that round.
All being held outside of the connector and just outside the steps of jungle too, so very high pressure situation for the members of Dignitas, but they are still able to hold that very, very well. And that allows them to bounce back a little bit more into this matchup. Not going to be able to break the bank against FaZe Clan just as of yet, though, because of the fact that they stuck with those SMGs. That saves them a lot of money. That's the big benefit. They can afford to play around with it still, with them still leading by about 6 rounds against the members of Dignitas here. But now they're going to get their own chance to build up a bit of a bank with them surviving so dominantly on that last one. But they still have to go against an even stronger buy than we saw previously. FaZe Clan investing big time to the ops, still coming in Fox, and now 4 AKs against everybody else.
Okay, now where's the push going to come from? You can see Config and MSL assuming or maybe thinking it was mid at the time, but Underpass actually contains a vast amount of the FaZe players right now, at least the one with the bomb. You know, you got the players that if they get held up, this could be deadly, but going to relinquish some control of mid there. You got AZ and Fox now able to filter through a little bit. Config's going to be a linchpin in this. KGB hasn't pushed up on short, so it's going to be down to Config to do something here. He does just fine. Picks up one, probably not going to find much more, but at least they get an idea of what may have been planned. KGB instantly rotates. It's MSL to find another towards Fox, bring down to a 4v3.
Easy, trying to make sure there's nobody else on the side of Dignitas, looking to lurk aggressively outside of the connector. Not finding them there as of yet. 3 remaining guys on FaZe Clan as well. Still need to find a big kill, which will let them into the site with them all being so spread out here. You can see now Kiyoshima moves his way back around through T-spawn and moves in to regroup with Rain. But for AZ, he's still kind of stuck at the moment inside of Darkroom. He tries to push his way out. He's going to meet a pretty deadly fate. And even working his way inside of the window room too, he's going to make a lot of noise. They're going to know exactly where he's coming from. Immediately, the timing of the molly is actually impeccable here too, but AZ does get a good amount of timing against MSL, and he's found his way outside of the dark room and hopefully into the A bomb set as well, which is going to cause a very quick shuffle for the members of Dignitas. But AZ, though, actually doesn't go directly through. He goes back out through middle, and that's going to allow him to meet his own death against Tensky.
Now, timing is a hell of a lot in this. Okay, KGB found Rain pretty comfortably, but they have to push in at the same time, but they're going one by one. Kyo's been given a chance here. This could be a 4K, and Tensky knows it. He's walking into the lion's den. The bomb is planted for him. Kyo gets tagged up, 5 HP. Back against the wall, swings out, sprays down. He almost gets it, but no. Tensky just holds on to the round. But for a second then, I had to say, I was believing in Kyo to pick that one up.
You can see him too, because he knows he's not going to win a direct battle against Tensky with the health advantage so much in the CT's favor there. So he's trying to just, hopefully he can get like a lucky headshot or two there just on the timing of the cross, but ends up going out just a little bit too early. And unfortunately doesn't connect the spray where he needs to. So that round will be closed out by Dignitas, and they're still fighting back a little bit here. Still a decent amount of rounds to be stacked up, but they're definitely not bowing down to FaZe Clan just as of yet.
Not just yet. And I'm wondering if we're going to see that double AWP as well. That could always be a possibility we haven't really seen yet. KGB going to be the player to possibly toy with that, but we're going to see an all-in play towards A. It seems maybe a small split through mid from AZ, but Kyo's already run out on the first battle. KGB just going to get overwhelmed, so great start for FaZe in this round. FaZe instantly backing away. Look at them rotating here, just sending it all the way back around, using AZ almost as that rotate middle spot. Just playing around the back of it, leaving Rain. And Jake having second thoughts. This is a really interesting round.
FaZe Clan, though, definitely not really decisive of where they want to play themselves. So spread out. All these players are essentially in their own little boxes at this point. Kiyoshima outside of the Long V Hills. Fox and Jagum have grouped up by this point. Rain's alone inside of the Palace, and then AZ as well, back up towards mid. As the timer does get lower, they are going to start to group up to form up to go for what looks like an A hit. I'm curious to see what Kiyoshima will do later on in the round, though, but patience pays off with them sitting just outside here of the apartments area. Shuts down Tensky, picks up another kill, and leaves Dignitas very, very weak. But the majority of their defenses are still postured up, ready for a B hit, but they need to start off strong, and it's going to be Rubino that takes down Rain to do exactly that.
And Config just walked away as well. Good flash here from Rubino, going to flash towards at least Tetris, but already AZ had made it through because Config stepped away from CT, leaving him so vulnerable. Now look at the tease. Let's see what FaZe can bring from this, and that's it. That's all they need to do is land the shot, and that's Jacob doing just that. And hesitation from Dignitas, maybe not expecting that second thought from FaZe when they just went back to default. They were like, okay, let's see if anyone's going to push up anywhere. And they actually caught someone out.
And now with that one, Dignitas as well. This is the issue too, is these rounds were fairly close, so never really building up a very strong CT side of the economy. Immediately they're broken, and immediately they're going on to an eco, which means that they don't somehow pull off a miracle clutch here with this very minimal investment. This is already going to put a FaZe Clan on match point because of the very big lead they were able to start this half off with.
Yeah, sadly for Dig, this is a bit of a lackluster play thus far, but I'm waiting to see if there's something special brewing here, if they've got something in mind, FaZe, because they're playing, again, this very passive, wait and see what's coming their way, pretty much. And this is a very disciplined approach, which I guess people argue maybe they're not the most disciplined team at times. Some say they play as individuals, but this is a really nice stance, a really nice mental kind of approach to this sort of round.
So a lot more presence coming out for Dignitas this time towards middle, too, to watch out for aggression in that department, but that'll leave a lot of the defense to Rubino and to a certain degree now MSL and Config as they do move away from mid a bit now. You can see Config getting tagged a bit there as Kyo spotted him as he started to retreat inside the A bomb site there, just as Kyo is peeking over towards top mid, but Still from FaZe Clan. I believe they know they're going to be on eco territory at this point too, so it's still being played very slowly by these guys, as they don't want to risk running into any sort of cheeky setups that Dignitas may have decided to go for to sort of get those one-and-done positions. Now, though, with the timer going below 1 minute, FaZe Clan do need to start making some momentum here in order to get map control, and they're going to do that in mid. Jacob, Fox, and Kiyoshima all taking very quick control here, while AZ and Rain line up for an A hit.
Look at this crossfire. Config and MSL trying to bait each other into this, I guess, and just hoping that Rabino holds the Palace push. Excuse me, Palace push is getting late. Using words is hard. This is all inching pretty much on 1 or 2 players, just holding the angle, and they don't hold it well enough. They just get outdone, outplayed, outshot, and Config getting outnumbered pretty much there, as now it's down to KGB and Tensky, and a great resurgence coming from KGB. Down to a 2v2 now. The guns are pretty tricky to recover, though, so onto the Deagle and the 5-7 still.
And now he's going to try to find his way into the site too. The Molly holding him back a little bit. Gives time for FaZe Clan to get into some post-plant positions. Tensy's also going to join the fray too. KGB though, it's picked up it out. There's an AK in front of him. Looks like he wants to go for that a little bit more. Got to find time to pick it up though. Fires off the random op shot there, hoping he can grab somebody through the boxes, but a bit mistimed, and AZ just shuts down Tensky right from the get-go there, and Rain picks up the final kill. FaZe Clan will continue to press forward, and there's that 15th round that they were looking for quite a few rounds ago, but just weren't able to get at the time.
And you've got to say it, FaZe just look way more solid on that T side hit. And actually, no, tell a lie. I'd say Dig just look a lot weaker as well on their CT side in comparison to their T side and what they showed. It just seems a little bit, okay, we'll sit back and do what we can, but their money's never been good either.
I feel like it's just been a progressive down spiral for Dignitas throughout the entire course of this match. They actually started very potent, and they just slowly lose their effectiveness on the T side as we get further and further into the half. And then here on the second half, we've seen a couple good responses, but overall nothing very impressive compared to what we were seeing at the beginning of this matchup. MSL finds a first kill for his team, but beyond that, it's 3 frags for FaZe, and it looks like we're coming to a very quick close here of what could be the end of this map.
And a real disappointment for any Dig fan. This is a good map for them normally. On paper, you'd argue they could really put up a good performance here, but FaZe just overwhelming. They've come into this and look like they mean business more than anything. The shots have been landing, the players are looking good, the plays on their T side have been impressive. They've got a good kind of, I guess, approach to these rounds, looking a lot calmer, and there you go. Tensky falls, and that one is going to be FaZe picking up 16-8, getting that first win on the board here to qualify towards Cologne. So good stuff from them. Dig, though, a little bit disappointing for them.
Yeah, I would say so as well, considering the sort of good reputation they've had over the past couple of months now, slowly edging themselves up a bit, but it's still been very inconsistent. It seems like this map is going to be closer to the bottom trend of what we've been seeing from them as of late. So they're going to be going into the lower pool with some of our other losing teams for today. In FaZe, they're going to move up, take on some of the teams like Envious and others that have moved up over the course of today's matches. Still have 1 more to go, but we are very quickly filling out both of those pools.
Looks like it is coming to a bit of a close here, at least for today. We do have 1 more game to go, though, so it's not over just yet. But I'm actually really impressed with FaZe so far. It's good seeing them playing well at offline events. As I said, their results have been up and down, so it's really nice seeing that come together for them. And considering how chilled out Raiden seemed in the interview, it's good to see him playing well as well. Otherwise, you'd be like, why do you seem so chilled if you're losing games? But now he's like, it's fine, I got this.
Some of our teams that I think were a bit of a surprise to actually get knocked out of Legend status, I think are actually still showing up fairly impressively today. And that 2 teams, for me at least, being Envious, along with FaZe, after some fairly good performances at the last couple of majors. MLG just was not really meant for them, and unfortunately they both get knocked out and have to requalify here. But so far, based on day 1's results anyway, they seem to be doing quite well.
Yeah, looks pretty good for them overall. And Dig, I don't know. I guess that's going to be an incredibly frustrating moment for those guys. Getting a good map against a very good opponent, you'd argue this was probably one of the, on paper, harder games. On paper, 2 EU teams, pretty well matched in theory. So yeah, I feel that you've got to feel for them coming out from that, even on a map that they'd like, not having a good time of it, but showing really that FaZe is just playing very well at the moment. But as it does seem as though the players are pushing themselves away, we get to hear from Keo and Mitch.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, Rain's decided he's done with my questions and he's put Keo in the firing line here as well. Thanks for joining me up here, dude. You guys, to start things off, obviously won the pistol, started to build up a little bit of momentum, and then you started to have some trouble dealing with the T side from Dignitas. They were starting to look strong, and then you flipped the switch and started getting really aggressive up mid. Talk to us a little bit about that decision and maybe why you chose to deal with it in that certain way.
At the beginning of the side, we tried something different that we usually do. So after 3-1 we lost 3 rounds in a row, and then that was like the kill switch. We had to do something. We had to play like we play on internet because that wasn't us. So we just like, guys, calm down, play like on internet, and then see what happened. So we did what we had to do, and taking our duels. That's why we're good. That's our strength. So just take the duels, win them, and then we win the rounds.
A lot of people do speak as one of your biggest strengths being that individual skill as well, but what were you trying to do in those first few rounds? Can you say?
I think it was just like everyone was hesitating. It's our first match offline with a new lineup because we didn't count Malmo. I was in a team for 1 day, so that's our first tournament. And I think like just a bit shaky, hesitation, just a bit of pressure, I guess. And when I try to remove that from them, because I did like a lot of tournament and stuff, so I'm just trying to help them to remove that pressure and play their game, because all of them are really good, really strong. So just play the duels and then play how you like to do.
The reason why this is probably so fascinating, this result as well, is that historically online, this is considered to be Dignitas as one of their best maps normally. And you guys have played it against them as well back in the ESL Pro League. You played a series, I think it was Cash. It was probably, I think, before you joined actually, Cash, and then it was Mirage. Point is that Dignitas normally quite strong in this map, but now offline, you play the way you do online, but you actually come out on top. So that's excellent. We also had a bit of a discussion in the green room with some of the casters as well, talking about the role and the voice in your team. Who is that voice? A lot of people have been wondering what the role of Robban is in your team, and some people have speculated maybe you need that really strong in-game leader if you don't already have it. Can you shed some light maybe on what Robban's role is, and if you would agree with that? Do you think you have that strong voice?
We kind of changed a little bit his role. At the beginning, he was calling every round, but that doesn't fit us. We tried for a few weeks. That doesn't fit what we are, and for the moment, Robban is making the strats. And what happened in clutch situation, he's the one talking, he's the one taking decision, and we just like mix it together. It's like me, AZ, and Robban working on all the strats. We're trying to make a new game. A game's gonna fit us because we're kind of different than every other teams, I think. So Robban is just not an in-game leader. He's supporting us. When we are in trouble, that's where Robban come, because we're trying to have our game, and then that doesn't work. Robban is behind, and they have like a book of strats. So we use him only when we're in trouble.
And you've said just now as well that you think you're a team that is the kind of team to win those duels and be this better team in terms of individual skill. Did you feel like having Robban take such a central role in the in-game leading stifled that a bit? Made you maybe over-tactical instead of focusing on your strengths?
Yeah, because at the beginning he didn't know how to do it because he never did that before. So we were too much in the strats thing. We tried it, have a strat every round, doesn't fit us. That's not how we want to play, that's not how we feel comfortable in. So we just play on the skills we have. We have obviously some classic setups. That's what is CS. You just play good at classic, and then if you win your duels, you're gonna win the game.
It's almost like FPS 101, isn't it? Thanks for that. It's really interesting to hear a bit more about how your team works. So go and celebrate with them as well and get a good night's rest, and we'll see you tomorrow, of course, in their next best of one. They'll be one of the 1 and 0 teams. But Alex, I think we've given you guys plenty of food for thought there after that game, as FaZe do go up solidly 16-8. Why don't you guys take us home on this one?
Thank you so much, Mitch. This has basically kind of fueled our fire for our entire discussion. I mean, we asked so many questions in the pre-match. I say we, Vendetta and Natu joining me. The questions, have been answered by Keo. First, we asked, what is Robban doing? He's answered that in buckets. And also, we criticized this, just going to go out and hit our shots, win our duels, but they all seem to subscribe to that. And if all 5 members are happy with this style of play, you can't fault it, really.
Yeah, as long as it's working, at least.
Sure.
It's going to be more interesting to see what happens if FaZe get off on a wrong foot to more of an extreme degree than what they did just by losing pistol here. Losing the first Byron, I guess, because that's when Dignitas got their run. So I want to see what happens to the FaZe team when they have to pull out their ace in the sleeve, which is Robban, with that book of strats that Kia was talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly. The sample size is very small right now, so I want to see more of it and see when they actually do struggle, if they have that plan B that they can go with once things don't work out, and how is Robban gonna step in that situation.
I mean, he also made a good point just saying, well, Robban didn't know what to do. Like they gave him a title, and it's like, great, okay, but he's never done it before. It's been probably a while. He's like blowing the dust off his strat book. Like I guess some of this might still be applicable. But generally, we'll be seeing a new look from FaZe, and already that's just one best of one. You've made a good point there. Let's not go too crazy with the hype. Instead, though, we'll focus on Dignitas for a moment, because we came into this, it seemed we didn't do predictions. It did feel like the desk was leaning towards the Danes. What happened?
Well, first off, credit to FaZe for actually being able to handle what we what we talked about eventually. Once Dignitas tried to somewhat get the game into their gear and their tempo,
right.
FaZe took it to them. So whenever you saw, well, a lot of the times when you saw the default setups coming in from Dignitas, FaZe was constantly being aggressive around the parts of the map, especially towards the mid, just being disruptive. Even if they don't necessarily get the most favorable trade, it just messes up the setup that the Dignitas are working towards getting. And that, again, just allows map control, which is a really big part of what Dignitas do.
Yeah. I do want to raise 3 letters as well now too. M, S, and L. Not particularly present in this game.
I'm not sure if he was on the server or not, because it definitely did not seem like he was. Well, we were talking about the ops, but I don't think we got to see really.
Was he your player to watch as well?
He was my player to watch, and not all too much to watch. I do apologize, but then if you want to see a player die a lot, then there you go.
Yeah, good one.
You probably had a good show.
Okay, so generally, poor showing from Dignitas, and let's not forget this is going to be a real scary story for Dignitas after having real troubles in the previous qualifier for the previous major. They've got a lot of kind of wrongs to right in this, well, 4-day stint here in Katowice, Poland, and so far, not so good. They now go down 0-1, are going to have to try and prove themselves worthy of in a game tomorrow. For now, though, they'll be putting their feet up and watching the final game of the day, and it's a big one. Tai Lu, a very exciting prospect, going to be playing versus G2, who also have blown our minds over in London. So very, very exciting game to end our day. It's going to be that big crescendo you guys have been looking forward to. And before we bring you that, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, it's going to time to see what China can do versus France.